Hello everyone, just doing my pre-show sound check. If you're watching, if you could just pop a message in the live chat to let me know whether the sound and picture is coming through okay, and hopefully it is, and I will see you at past. Oops. No. And good evening, folks. Welcome to Ian's Studio Live, the 24th edition of it. It's hard to believe this is the 24th one of these, and that's not counting the extra one I did a week ago. So 24 different live streams. Right, well, you're all welcome, whether it's 6, 10 or 11 of you. The stats on my screen aren't conclusive. Oh, they're finally, the two different figures are finally both saying, oh, I was going to about to say they're both saying 11. Now one's gone up to 12 and the other hasn't. I don't know. So whoever's watching, welcome to the show tonight. Got something going on that's a little bit different tonight. So it's a bit of a test of all the technology and the new laptop that I've got, which I have to say I am still very, very pleased with. And the fact that it's been rendering video at over about 340 frames per second whilst rendering video. That is just insane. I'm really, really pleased with that. So, yep, it's all running on the new laptop. I've got things set up at the side of me, which you'll see a little bit later on. So let's get on with the show then. And for the benefit of anyone who's new or watching this on replay, these are weekly shows that stay on YouTube for a long while. Then eventually they will get cut down on YouTube, and the full versions will move over into my academy with extracts on my 3 different YouTube channels. So anything that's travel related will get moved onto my travel photography YouTube channel. Anything that's Lightroom related will go onto the Lightroom channel, and everything else will stay here on the original channel, which is in Studio. So that's the background to them. Do ask questions in chat. I have got a couple of slots for live Q&A, which can either be very boring or very quick or whatever. It's down to whatever you guys make it. So if there's no questions, we'll whiz through those. In fact, tonight we might not need many questions because I suspect the live section, the live demo that I'm going to do will take a while. If you're watching on the replay, obviously put your questions into the comments and I'll pick them up from there for a future live stream. As ever, please subscribe to the live stream if you find these sort of things helpful. That helps me, and it helps me to know that it's worth carrying on, to be perfectly honest. Comments. I like comments. Please make them on any of the videos that I post on any of the channels. That's really helpful. And like it. Go and like this one. Actually, half of you have. That means half of you haven't liked it or don't like it. On there. That's the show, and do let other people know about it as well. I'm trying to increase the size of the audience here. It's not been going up much recently, so need to have a bit of a push on getting people to come and watch. If you are new to this, I have a Facebook group which is very much linked with the live stream. That's the link on the screen behind me. You'll also find it down below. Do join us on there. Lots of interesting discussions and image sharing going on there. Chance to get feedback, and I typically show images from the Facebook group as part of the live stream as well. One thing just to say, actually, again, when we get to reviewing the questions and things like that, I now have the ability to put things from LiveChat on the screen, so please don't put anything on there that you don't want to see embedded into the video, because I will be switching over to that later on. As well, yeah, I have a newsletter. You can sign up to that on my website, again linked down below. So this is all the general admin stuff, so try and get it through fairly quickly. I don't want to skip doing that, because when I look at the stats, I see a lot of people join during this sort of intro bit. So I don't want to get into the cut and thrust of things if people haven't yet joined. So that's why I go through all that at the start. So what have we got this week? Well, we've got the news section. One thing to talk about on there. but our main theme is smoke patterns. I was going to do this as a one-off during the week, but had some miscommunications over a studio hire, and I couldn't do it on the day I planned, and various reasons. So it's got pushed back to today, and I've incorporated it into the general live stream. So doing the normal stuff, but I'll break off to do the smoke pattern demo and editing later on there. We've got the 3-minute edit challenge, which is going to be vital to tonight, because I need to use those 3 minutes to set everything up for the smoke patterns on there. I'm just going to be looking at a few of your images, a couple of images tonight, but do keep sharing them, because next week I'm going to be doing a feedback special. So that's going to be mainly your images that I'll be talking about. So keep sharing them in the Facebook group, and I'll pick up on those next week. And as I say, live Q&A coming up. So news from me. I've been recording some training on DaVinci Resolve this week. I did a whole day here in the studio. I must have recorded 10 to 12 different videos on DaVinci Resolve. Now, if you don't know what DaVinci Resolve is, that's the software that I use for editing videos. So this coming week, I've got to edit those, and I will start getting them up online. So if you're interested in video editing, I'm approaching this from the point of view of someone who doesn't really know much about editing. So it's a beginner's level training, and I'm aiming it, well, the reason I was asked to do it was to help the people at the church I go to who I've been doing all the video editing for, and we're trying to train other people up to take over from me. So that was the reason behind it. But I'm also pitching it at photographers who want to be able to add a little bit of video work into their portfolio, and how to edit, how to get set up on DaVinci Resolve. So look out for that on the live stream, not the live stream, the main channel this week, and hopefully they'll start coming up on a regular basis until I've got through all the different ones that I've recorded. So Q&A part 1. Any questions in chat? I've spotted one in there. Do remember there's a delay, so by the time you've typed it, you've heard me asking you to type it, time's moved on, so I won't get your reply in real time. There's usually anything up to 2 minutes, actually, is what we've discovered with this. So get your questions in early, and I will deal with them later on. Any that I've already come in, I've got one come in that I'll deal with now. Or you can email me them during the week. I've had at least one come in that I didn't want to deal with tonight, because I know that the stuff I'm going to do with smoke patterns is going to take up the majority of the evening on here. Yeah, the sensor cleaning one will happen, and I'm hoping that if everything works tonight, I should be able to do that in a week or two's time, about how to clean your sensor. All right. Yeah, the question that I've had come in tonight, well, two actually. Terry is saying, is this the new laptop? Yes, indeed, it is the new laptop, as it was last week as well. Gary wants to know, do I use my laptop as my main computer for processing images? Yes, everything is done on the one laptop. Having said that, I have a number of configurations with the laptop. I've got the version that is here at the studio, which you can't quite see. All you can see is up to the edge of my monitor. Just out of shot is the laptop, which is on a stand directly above the monitor, where I can see it and I can glance over to it. I can see it just there on that. At home, I have 3 monitors there that it's connected to. So that's 4 screens, including the laptop screen. Effectively a docking station, a USB docking station that powers everything on there. A couple of disk banks there as well. So when I bought the laptop, I bought one with a lot of grunt on there so that it can do anything and everything. And the reason for doing that, rather than having a desktop, is I split my time between here at the studio and at home, and until the the company I used to work for on the ships went into administration, I used to spend a fair bit of my year on board ship. So I just wanted something that I could just pick up and know I've got everything. So that's why I have the laptop, and I do everything on there. But I have different configurations with it. And so I've got the monitors here, I've got different monitors at home, and I can actually work just with the laptop itself. And when I'm on ship, I use the iPad here as the extra screen for it, which I'm currently using it as my PowerPoint screen. So lots of options I have there. All right, what else have we got in the chat? Let's see if I can get the chat display up. Yeah, here we go. Next question. Curious about DaVinci Resolve. Kev says he's just cancelled his Premiere subscription. Good on you, Kev. You got to it before I did. That's one of the things I need to do. I've got to export all my existing videos into a particular format, edit decision lists and XMP format, so that if I need to go back to them, I can do in DaVinci. But DaVinci wins hands down over Premiere. Absolutely brilliant bit of software. It's far more intuitive to use. It's logically laid out. You do need a machine with a bit of grunt to it though, and it's free. That is the amazing thing about it. It is a free program. I've now bought the paid for version, the studio version, because I want to make use of the super whiz bang graphics processor that I've got on this laptop. But you don't need that. Of the extra features that you get, the only things I have used of the paid version is the graphics processor, and I needed to deinterlace a video, well, 2 videos now, and that's not available in the free version. So it's an incredible piece of work. And again, because it was so good, that's why I was keen to buy the paid for version, because I want to support the company with it. So yeah, watch out for the tutorials, Kev, and make your own mind up, have a play with it on there. Michael says that he recommends, he's been using it for his YouTube channel. Yeah, and there's lots of tutorials on it as well. I'm trying to do mine in a very structured way. You'll find a lot of the YouTube tutorials for DaVinci are just, how do you do this? How do you do that? And they don't all sort of link together. And a lot of them are just taking you into Fusion, which is the special effects sort of thing, which is great if that's the sort of thing you want to do and you want to learn how to create your own graphic lower thirds and all that. But nobody's really covering the absolute basics on it, which is what I'm trying to do with the videos I'm going to be putting online. So it'll be interesting to see your feedback on that as well. Those of you who are into or are thinking about getting into DaVinci on that. Right, okay, let's move on to, yeah, I've done that. To the Lightroom 3-minute edit challenge, which, as I'm sure you all know, is myself and Rick each have 3 minutes to edit an image, sight unseen. The first time we see it is when we're doing the editing, other than perhaps a little catch a glimpse of it as we're loading into Lightroom, but we do try not to look at them when we're doing that. I've got some newbie ones coming up in the next couple of weeks. I want to thank the people who've submitted those. We're going to be recording those this coming week, so those will start over the next couple of weeks on the as part of the live stream. And as ever, Rick is the first one up on there, so I'm going to play in Rick's video. Now, if you remember last week, we had a little bit of a problem with the playing in the videos, that the sound went out of sync. There was a delay after a few seconds into it, and it took the sound out of sync. What I think caused that was having everything plugged through the same hub, both the capture card and the disc that was playing the videos. So now what I've done is the capture card is going in through its own USB port, and the disc that has the videos on is an internal disc on the laptop. So hopefully fingers crossed, we won't have any delays on that, but we'll wait and see what happens with that. So without further ado, I'll start that going, and then whilst you're watching that, I've got 3 minutes to get set up for the next section. So here we go, over to Rick.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another Lightroom edit video. My name's Rick Bradbury, recording this ready for Ian's live stream. This evening we have an image sent in by Gary Platt. Thanks again, Gary, for sending another image in, and we shall see what damage I can do in Lightroom. So let's get the timer ready, and we are 3 minutes on the clock. Here we go. And let's jump over to the image. So it's a raw file, ARW, no XMP brought in. So this is out of camera reset, excuse me. And we were on the 24-70 f2.8, 100th of a second, f22 ISO 100. Okay, I don't know which camera it's shot on, but never mind on that one. We know it's a Sony. So let's get started. So we'll do lens correction first. Where's that gone? Lens correction first. We'll take the noise reduction that Lightroom applies off because it's ISO 100. Like, what are you doing? And we will go to Adobe Standard. Now, it's initially it looks like a very kind of moody, mysterious, misty kind of image. It's kind of cool, actually. Looks like it could be something out of a film or TV show. Right, so let's see, exposure wise. I'm going to pump the exposure up a little bit, which may seem odd because we've got the sun in the shot there. That's fine. And we'll do a little bit of work on the curves, but I do want to bring in some of the shadow areas, but probably with, my word, is using something else in Lightroom other than the sliders. A bit of a filter here. So let's just see what we can, well, no, just default things. Right, let's just raise this up just a touch, a little bit down here, and I do want to add a little bit of contrast back in, so I don't want to lose everything down there. Now there's not a ton of things down there, but there is obviously something there. Twigs and what have you. Now, when you're shooting something into haze, fog, or what have you, you're going to lose, you know, sharpness. It's not that it's an unsharp image, but you will perceive it to be not quite as sharp. So we will take that back. Now, does it? Does black and white work? Kind of does. I'm going to keep it in colour though. Quite like the warmth of it. There we go. And we will go to some sharpening because I'm running out of time again. Right, detail there. Take that up there, and we will go to texture. Oh, texture works really well. Now dehaze, or just kind of crushes the blacks, but a little bit of it will help this. And there we go. Maybe a little bit of global contrast. Just a touch. There's quite a lot of contrast in this already, and I'm going to call that good. There we go. Right, so we have the before and after, the before and after. Shush. One thing I am going to note here before I come back and do some feedback on this in a moment is the lens profile. Whilst technically it's corrected for any distortion and blah, 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 characteristics of the lens, I think it's actually hurt it more than anything. I prefer it without. And I think it's getting rid of the natural vignettes that may be there as well. So I would probably leave that off, to be honest. But there we go. Right. I know I broke the rules. I edited it after my timer had gone off. Sorry. Right. Okay. Back to the studio and back to Ian.
Right, okay folks, so welcome back, and I've reconfigured things here because we're going to have a go at doing a live tabletop shoot of the of smoke patterns. So let me just talk you through the setup here and what we've got on the screen. Right, now this is the hard part. Right, yeah, if you look over on this side of my screen, that black area is Lightroom where you will see the images appear. Down below me is the tabletop. So if I put my hand in, you can see, yeah, we're more or less, yeah, slightly behind, isn't it, the camera, which I'm not surprised at, to be honest. But right, the general setup here, how do we do smoke pattern shoots? Well, it's a good old tabletop. What we're using for the smoke is a joystick. So simple as that. Lighting wise, I've got two lights either side with grids on them. And the reason for the grids and the barn doors is we don't want any of the light to spill onto the background. Even though it's close, my black piece of card there propped up against, well, it's actually a black window, but there you go. So that's going to be my background. I've got a tray and a bit of plasticine in the bottom to hold the joystick. I've chosen to use studio lights, although you don't have to use studio lights for this. If you want to use a speed light, if I hold that here, hopefully you can see it, what we've got. Basically, if you create a flag that looks like that, again, hopefully you can see that in the on the screen, and then use rubber bands to attach one either side so that you end up, it says trying to do this live. See, Blue Peter always had somebody there to help them when they were doing makes, but you can see now we've got this sort of channel through there, hopefully you can see it. That will channel the light, prevent it getting onto the background. So that's a quick and dirty way of doing it if you don't have speed lights. I've got lights either side because that's a slightly better result that way. You can do it with just one speed light as well. So if that's all you've got, don't let it put you off the fact that I am using two on there. So that's the lighting setup. Next thing to talk about is how we meter the light. So I'm going to make sure my camera is switched on. I need to move over to Lightroom and get Lightroom tether going. You can't see this, I know. Tethered capture, start tethered capture. I'm going to give it a new name, Smoke 2 is going to be my folder. So here we go. So hopefully you can see the control bar at the bottom of the screen on there. So the camera is now on there. Now, in terms of metering, I'll do the classic metering test on here. Put it at my subject. And I've measured it at f8 on that light and on the other light. Just a little bit over f8, which tells me I haven't quite got this in the middle, but it doesn't matter. It's not an exact science in terms of metering for these smoke patterns. The other thing to say about it is, although I've just metered at f8, I'm setting my camera at f5.6 because that seems to be the rule to me. You need one extra stop over and above what you meter, because the way this works is that the light hits the smoke and it bounces off there, and that takes out some of the light because it's basically a reflected light that we're getting, so it takes a stop out of it. So I've had to open up to f5.6. So there we go on that. I'm just going to test the flashes, make sure they're going off. They are. Time to light the joystick then. And let's hope it will light. I have a spare one in case I need it. I had this going earlier when I was checking it all out. And earlier it lit first time. Yes, I think we're there. Right, brilliant. So now, if I just take a test shot, that should appear on the screen. Yes, there we go. Right, so what have I proven on there? That I haven't framed it up, which is not surprising really. In terms of framing up and focusing, focus on the very top of the joystick. Use that as your focus point for the thing. So I'm going to just get that in focus. I'm going to use live view to do it. Just makes it a little bit easier. On there. So just bear with me a moment as I do that. Come on, get down there. Zoom, zoom. And I can manually focus that onto it. There we go. Take live view off. So now I'm focused. I just need to frame it. And I've got way too much on there. So I'm just going to zoom in a little on that. There we go. So now let's see what that looks like. And my camera's not quite straight because I can see the image is at an angle on there. I hope this is coming through okay because I can't actually see the comments with this, the comment feed. So hopefully it's all coming good. Right, there we go. That should be straight now. And get that centered. Do another test. And that's looking good. I'm going to tilt up slightly because I can see the smoke's higher than where the joystick is. So that's now down at the bottom of the frame on there. How's that now looking? That's looking okay. Still slight angle. Now, we want to get those patterns in there. And the trick with it is not to go too much, but if you see how I'm moving my hand near the smoke like that, and we're starting to get some patterns appear. And then it's really just trial and error and just keep shooting until you get something that you like. And I like those little swirls that we were getting on that. Yeah, there was one frame just back. That particular one, that I really like. It's slightly tilted, but there we go. I don't know whether that's me getting the camera tilted. No, looking from the other. I think it was just the direction the smoke was going. There, we're getting some nice patterns. And the more I move around, the more those patterns become more smoke-like. And the trick with this is really to just take a whole load of shots and just keep trying until you get something that you're interested in. Now I like that one. That one I like, that's on the screen now. And I love those little swirl patterns. Actually, I created that. Hey. And how's that looking? Oh, some interesting ones. And I keep watching them until I've got something that I think I can do something with. Oh, some nice ones forming now. And the thing is, the moment you stop, you know that the next pattern you see on there is going to be a really interesting one. Yeah, just the way it is on it. So, and I like to try and get a range because I use these smoke patterns as well as creating abstracts with them, but I also use them for if I've got a character smoking. I don't let people smoke in the studio, so I can then superimpose this as the smoke on it. I've used it for a smoking gun before now. Actually, that was for a fake theatre poster that I had to do for a play I was directing. So. Right, let's really mess the smoke up and see what we get this time. I think I'm nearly done with it. Whoa, I like that. Yeah, some nice ones coming up now. But yeah, you can see the sort of effect that we get there. Just a couple more. And that should be sufficient for this. I'm going to leave it at that. Okay, so that's how we do it practically. The next part of all this is to do with the post-production side of it. So I need to reset everything back to the to my normal configuration here, and so while I'm doing that, I'll play in my 3-minute edit, and at the end of that, I'll have a look at your at any comments that have been made in the live chat from while I've been doing this. So catch up with you in a couple of minutes. Hello, welcome to another 3-minute Lightroom edit challenge. You probably know the rules by now. Myself and Rick Bradbury are supplied an image. We don't see it beforehand, and we each have 3 minutes to edit the file. So let's get started. 3 minutes on the timer. Okay, so let's have a look at what we've got. Go into the develop module. Right, this is the raw file as it's come in. It's some form of landscape, a very bright sun through the trees. Immediate thought on there, well, let's do the obvious first, which is the lens corrections on there. That's helped a little. White balance. Oh, this is going to be a custom one. Whatever it's going to be custom. I'm probably going to want to warm it up quite a bit on this. Now, it's a bit hazy. Now, that might be by design. Do I want to add a bit more to it? That's actually quite atmospheric. But to remove it, I know this is once where I want the dehaze to go the opposite way. Now, if I just bring the exposure up a little bit on there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the blacks in a touch. I just quite like that. Let's see about a crop for this. I'll bring down just slightly at the top, a little bit at the bottom. Now, I'm just looking about where I position things for it. I think this is going to be one where actually having the sun in the middle, but on the third section is probably the right thing to do. Let's go full screen so you can see things a bit better. Let's have a look at that as a crop. Quite like that. There's a bit sticking in at the side here. This is bothering me. This bit is drawing my eye from the rest of the scene, and I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do about it. I've got 55 seconds. I haven't got time to clone it out. I'm going to just edge that in just slightly on there. You know, I'm thinking that's probably all I want to do. A bit of clarity to it. That's helping, which means I probably don't need quite as much dehaze. That's nice. And the warmth on it, I think it needs to be quite warm on here. Going with something like that. Then the question is a bit more contrast. Yeah, a bit more contrast. See if I can get those whites back so they don't burn out quite as much. Bring that down, highlights down just a fraction. Oh, I'm running out of time. I'm thinking that is going to be about it. So there we go, with 1 second to go. Let's turn that off. So that's my edit on this one. I've gone for a very warm look with it, cropped it in a little bit, and now I'm less bothered about this stick here. Ideally, I think I'd have moved it before creating the shot, but no, I think I'll live with that. Yeah, I don't know about this one. Anyway, I'll give my feedback later. What I'm actually pondering is not so much about the image, but about my my edit on it. Oh, by the way, did I say it was from Gary Platt at the beginning? Oh well. Anyway, back to me in the studio. See you there. Okay, right, and we're back. Phew. Everything seems to be still working again. Now, can Can I just ask for a little bit of feedback with the smoke demo that I did in terms of being able to see what I was doing with it? So I'm still not 100% happy with how to set up for tabletop shots and still be able to do things like I'm about to do, which is the edits, because as most of you know, I'm a firm believer in what you do in camera and what you do in post-production need to go hand in hand. And so when I do something like a tabletop demo, or even when I'm eventually get a model in here and I'll do demos that way, I want to be able to make sure people can see what I'm doing, but that's not only the live bit of actually doing the shoot, but the edit part as well. Thus that sort of, that weird three frame setup, which I'm not entirely happy with, but I can't think of a better way of doing it than we have at the moment. So I will be interested in hearing your thoughts on that. So, right, yeah, people saying, yeah, worked a treat, worked well, good, thank you. But some of the smoke was off the photo. Oh, yeah, some of the smoke will be off the photo, Peter. Let me bring the questions up on there, the comments up. Oh, Rick's joined us from next door on there. He's busy playing with getting some YouTube content up. Do go and have a look at Rick's YouTube channel and his new content on there. You'll find, if you don't know where it is and you haven't already subscribed, you'll find there's a link to it on my main YouTube page. It's on the recommended channels list there, so do go and have a look at that as well. Right, Terry's saying, like the smoke demo, but the camera was showing 2 lights and table was a bit far away. Yeah, I know what you mean with that, Terry. I ummed and ahed on whether to bring the camera in closer or not. I thought having the lights in there would help give a sort of context to it, but maybe it should have come in closer. Not that there was a great deal to see on this particular one close up, because it's a joss stick. It's stuck in a bit of plasticine and that's it. You can't really see the smoke patterns on that little camera anyway. So I don't know. I'll have to keep experimenting with it. It won't be my last live tabletop shoot, because I love doing tabletop stuff, and I've got a whole load of figures that I want to photograph at some point, so I'll no doubt be doing some more. Right, anyway, enough of me waffling on about that. Let me go over to Lightroom and let's review these images and see what we can do with them. So here we are. I'm just going to go to the grid, and what I want to do is just find a couple of images. There was one comment which said that some of the smoke was off the frame. It always is. You can't contain it all unless you're photographing the entire room, because it just carries on going up. Sometimes it goes off to one side, and you can see here, if I go full screen, this one, it went off on the left, and this one went off on the right. So you just have to keep going until you find something that's going to work for what you have in mind. So as I peruse through, this sort of thing, I really like these sort of little swirls on there. There's something I could do with that, I think, on there. This one, how's that? Yeah, I like that as well, with those little swirls up at the top. But I think for purposes of the editing demo, what image am I going to go with? That's a weird one. Straight and then a pattern at the top. Wow. Right. Oh, decisions. Come on in, just pick an image. Right. This one. No, this one. This one, yeah. I'm going to go with that one. So I'm going to go into the develop module and I'm going to start doing some work on it. The first thing I'm going to do with this is I'm going to crop it because I don't need the joystick in there. I always leave it in the joystick in the image so I've got something to focus on, but then crop it out afterwards. It tends to work, I find, works best that way. There's not much going on at the top there. I can come in a little bit on that side, maybe a fraction at the bottom, something like that. Yes, I like that. I'm not so keen on the darker section up there, so might be able to just take that down with an adjustment brush, which is the K key, and reset everything and just bring the exposure down and bring the flow right down, and then I can gradually sort of paint on just to darken that out. That will do nicely. And again, I just want to darken these edges of the frame just a touch on there, just so that it fades out. Now I see that I can come in a little bit closer on my crop, top and bottom on there. So now let's see what else we need to do with it. Well, I'm going to add some clarity to it on there. Maybe a little touch of texture, just a bit. The main thing that makes a difference here is actually contrast. And as I bring that up, you can see it's really starting to give it some punch in the image. Just playing with the dehaze. I just wondered whether that would make a difference. No, I'll leave that as it is. So now that's a straight sort of black and white version on there. It'd be nice to add some colour to it. Now, I always used to do the adding of colour in Photoshop, but now we've got a nice tool for doing it in Lightroom. So the way I'm going to do it is use I'm going to start doing it with a graduated filter. And what I'm going to do is just reset everything on there, double click on effect, and I'm just going to put in a filter from the top, just coming down to about halfway, something like that. And now I've got this hue adjustment which will allow me, oh, I'm set to fine, that's why. Because there's no colour in there to start with, it's not allowing me. Right, I need to put some colour in. I put something in from temperature, I can then move this around till I get a colour I quite like, and I can then pull this around so that I'm lighting just parts of it. So by playing with the hue, I want to try and get a nice deep red in there if I can. So I'll add a bit of saturation to it, that will help. Yeah, it's coming up nicely. So now I'm going to do another one, but from the bottom. So I'm going to come up from about here, up this sort of way. And again, so this time I'm just going to give some cool temperature on there. Move that over to being a bluey colour. Where are we going to find the blues? It's in here somewhere. Yeah, there we go. And saturation up. And again, I can then move this around to find where that nice overlap comes. Oh, move it around a little bit. You see, as I go up, we get that white band between the two halves on it. That's interesting. Right, and move the other one. A sort of red, white, and blue effect going on with this. We play around with it to add that sort of colour that we want. So which one am I? I'm on the blue at the moment. bring the saturation up more. I think I want to lose a little bit more of that white area in the middle. So bring that up. And on here, yeah, just narrow that down a little bit. The transition's not quite so much. No, that's a bit too much actually. Let's get it a bit more gradual on there. Something like that, I think, with that one. So we've got that as one of our images. Let me go back and try something a little bit different on a different image. So if I edit this one, will that one work? I think it will work for what I'm going to try and do. Yeah. Okay, I'll do the crop. I like this one. It looks kind of rose-like. Something like that. This time I'm going to use the adjustment brush. So K, actually the other thing I want to do on here is do all that, the texture, clarity, contrast to bring it all out, and bring the exposure down and the whites up. We'll get something quite nice and bright on there. This time I'm going to add the colour using an adjustment brush. Maybe just bring those highlights down a fraction. That will do. So K for the adjustment brush, and I'm just going to reset everything to start with on there, and I'm going to put an overlay mask on so I can see where I'm painting. And I just want to actually need the flow a bit higher on this one. Dark, and just spin it out. Ah, it's too far. I've gone too far. I want the middle to be more flow a bit high on there. Just bring that down a bit. So that's done with the overlay on there. Take the overlay off. So now I'm going to make it quite yellowy in the middle and find a suitable yellow colour on the slider in the middle. Orangey yellow there. Saturation up. Oh, it's a bit green that. I didn't want green. I want yellow. Where's yellow? That'll do. On there. And in the middle. Now I do another one. And because this was sort of flower-like, what I'm going to try and do with this is paint around the outside this time and make that green, I think. Oh, put the overlay mask on so I can see where I'm painting. I come round something like that. That's the areas I want to affect. Take the overlay off. Now I should be able to add some, actually go full screen, you can see a little bit better. If I add some tint with the there and maybe just a little bit of blue to it, and then I should be able to find the greens in here. Come on, where are the greens? Something like that. Not quite right, but push that up. Take the blue out of it. Try and find the greens. Where are the greens? No, come on. Yeah, it's about as close as I'm going to get at the moment on there. And I'm just going to add a little bit more clarity with that as well. And it just sort of gives this almost a flower-like look to it with the colours on there. And you can see with that, that's a way of adding colour into it. And what I should have tried, and I intended to, but forgot to put the bits out for it, was to see what happened if I tried lighting it with coloured gels. I don't think we'd have got anything remotely as interesting as doing it like that in post-production. But you can see the sort of effect that we can play around with, and you can create your own sort of abstract. So hopefully you'll have a go at something like that, and we'll see what other people come up with. And here we can see some images that were posted to the Facebook group this week that had been done by Stuart Rees. And I did quiz him on this, and he told me that he did do the colouring in post-production. So as I've done, similar sort of idea. I suspect Photoshop, because the colours are a bit brighter on there, than I could do in Lightroom. But so interesting how, again, that's the sort of painting different areas in different colours with that. So yeah, okay, we've already done the post-production bit. I did those in the wrong order. So right, back to a 3-minute challenge. I'm going to play in Rick's feedback, and then I'll give my feedback on Gary's image. So away we go.
Okay, and we're back with some feedback on this image. Now, I know, naughty me, right? I just prefer the look of it without the profile correction. And it's rare that that happens, but sometimes, you know, assuming that, oh, lens profile correction must be right, not necessarily. I'm not saying it's wrong, it's just, I don't know, I just prefer the results without it. So, do you know what's missing from this? I'm sorry, Gary, but a character kind of walking through the background, you know, a mysterious kind of character just kind of moving through. That would be kind of cool, because it lends itself, starts you thinking about murder mystery or, you know, something kind of spooky in a way, you know, film-wise, movie-wise, TV-wise, or what have you. And really, I mean, you've got a ton of space down here that could be used for copy for a poster. You could use this for a band shot. That'd be kind of cool, you know, getting people dotted around, and just a hint of light on them may work as well. Sorry, got me wondering now, but I do kind of like it. Obviously, there's stuff that's kind of buried in the shadows here, and we can just kind of see it when we punch in, but we can see it just about there, and I don't mind that it takes a little bit of looking to find it. Quite a mysterious shot. Now, this twig kind of bugs me, but you know, not a real deal breaker per se. It's there. I mean, I wouldn't go photoshopping that out because it'd take forever, and I wouldn't break it to clean the scene really, because you know we don't really have the right to go doing that. It's there, nature, leave it be, take your shot as is. But it is kind of bugging me, I will say that. It's kind of like this, you know, twig like, hi, can I be in your picture? And there he is. Right, but overall I do like it. I gave some feedback to Dimitri the other week on shooting settings. Now, on this one, just to remind myself, we have ISO 100, 70mm f22 on 100th of a second. Again, why have we gone for f22? Yeah, it's sharp enough. I mean, I think the mist and fog is kind of masking the diffraction that's going on, but again, we're not getting the best out of that sensor and out of that lens by just stopping down. If you'd have opened up a little bit, it'd be a sharper image. There'll still be plenty of depth of field at f11, at f16, and you'd have a faster shutter speed to hand hold. Not that it's an issue, you know, hand holding 70mm at 100th of a second necessarily, but the benefit is you get a faster shutter speed. So I would open up on that lens a little bit. I mean, we've got a little bit of a starburst, I suppose, from there, and I don't think really it would hurt the image. Opening up to f16, f11 and changing the shutter speed accordingly, really. That would be my preference, but overall I do like it. It is cool. Now, this image would actually work in black and white. And I know the format of these live streams and how the videos are kind of put across and that, and I kind of want to say that, yeah, I bet Ian does this in black and white, but anyway, we'll probably have seen that through the show. But it does work in black and white still, so you've got a couple of options there. I stayed in colour because I quite like the warm tones, because it just kind of all goes to white in the background, but I don't dislike that either. Yeah, nicely done. It makes you wonder of, you know, where it is, what's gone on there, what's about to happen. You know, who is it who's looking towards the sun and looking through the trees? What is it who's looking towards the sun and through the trees? You know, who knows? But really well done on that one. I do like that. nice, moody, misty, foggy picture. That was kind of cool. Don't you just wish though that there was like a character moving through? That'd be so cool. Right, anyway, enough rabbiting on. Okay, I'm going to hand back to Ian. Thank you very much, Gary.
Okay, thanks Rick for the feedback. And no, I didn't go black and white. I was sort of wondering about it, but I kind of thought that Rick would go black and white, so I went colour. I think the lesson on that is don't try and second guess each other on there. Right, I'm going to just pull up my edit and actually Gary's final edit on there because it's quite interesting to compare the two. So there we go, got them both over my shoulder. Gary's is the one on the left, mine is the one on the right on there. And I have to say, I think all three of us have come up with different approaches to this. The first thing that I do note about Gary's edit is that he did Photoshop out that blasted twig that had been bothering both myself and Rick on there. The F22 thing, I think I can see why you went that way, Gary, trying to get the sort of starburst of the sun through the trees, but most lenses are not going to be that sharp at F22, so it's a big sacrifice. Let me just sort of punch in and have a look at the sharpness on there. I mean, it's not bad, but you can see. I would say it could be sharper, but that's purely down to shooting at F22. If you'd managed to get it at F8, I think that would have been sharper on there. And the other thing is, you don't really need the depth of field for it. F8 would have been more than adequate to give you the depth of field on there. I like the moodiness with it, and as Rick said, yeah, it's one of those you could imagine a figure moving through the mist and things like that. It was interesting that Rick said about a book cover. I'll tell you what it made me think of as a novel by Alan Garner. Yes, Alan Garner, all set round Alderley Edge, The Weird Stone of Brisingamen. And it just, for some reason, I found it very evocative of that. So I do like it on there. And nice to work on an image that's of this style. We've not had one quite like this, and chance to do things with it that we wouldn't normally get the chance to do. So that's my feedback. Thanks for submitting it, Gary. It's been good to work on it, and nice to have that selection. So Q&A. Right, I can't actually see those questions. What's in the chat there? Right, I can now. Right, let me. I think it's Q&A coming up. I just need to, yeah, it is. What have we got in the chat? We've got a question from Gary about 4K monitors. Are they worth it for image editing? I don't know is the honest answer. I haven't used a 4K monitor. My biggest monitor at home is 2K, and this one, although it's a large monitor, it's only 1080p on it. So it's only HD, and I'm not over bothered about it only being that resolution, because I'm using it for live streams and tutorials and things like that, and I want to be able to work at that resolution, because that's going to be the resolution of the video that I'm outputting. I'm not shooting 4K, I'm not shooting 2K, I'm shooting 1080p. So there's no point me doing a screen capture at anything larger than that. I need to know everything will fit on that sort of screen. So I would imagine that the real estate would be helpful for 4K. who's got 4K monitor? Anybody with a 4K monitor and really like it? And how have you found it with video editing? Please put something in the chat and let us know. Or if you're watching this on replay, in the comments, so that we can get your impressions on it. So I think that is the only question I've got in the live chat tonight. Yeah, I wasn't doing images in the Facebook group tonight, so I should have edited that out. So we've actually come to the end of the live stream, and surprisingly, it's only 8:30. So what I thought was going to be a long live stream is actually turned out to be a relatively short one. So thanks everyone for joining me on it. Hope you enjoyed the tabletop setup on there. And as ever, my thanks to Rick for taking part on this and doing the edits. Thank you for everyone else who's taken part, submitted questions, submitted images. Gary for letting us loose on his image. So as ever, I'll finish off with, if you found this useful, please subscribe so that you'll hear it. You'll hear about future live streams and future videos. In particular, the DaVinci ones that are coming up. Do comment and like it. Come on, go and hit that like button. You know you want to. There's only 10 of you liked it so far. Come on, there's 16 watching. Right, come on. So next time is going to be the feedback special. I may or may not do the lens cleaning on there. At least the text worked. I'll have a think about whether it fits in there. Depends on how many images I've got for feedback on there with it. And so until next time, as ever, keep making great images, and I'll see you in a future video. Bye for now. Right, this is the point where I record the alternative ending for when this becomes a cut down version. So here we go. Thanks for watching this cut down version of In Studio Live. If you want to see the full video, that's available to my Academy members. So hop over there. It's only £6 a month to join, or £60 for the year. Lots of other resources there, training materials, lighting sheets for studio work. There's inspiration sheets and over 100 images analysed about how and why they've been photographed in a particular way, ways to improve your photography. So thanks for watching. Do like, subscribe and all that. And until next time, keep making great photos. Bye for now.